badly did they need this one? Caps win 3-2 in overtime over the Montreal Canadiens after a dramatic third period comeback. They started the third period down 2-0. This was a huge game for the Washington Capitals. They needed these 2 points. No Tom Wilson, no Pierre-Luc Dubois, no Justin Sourdif, no Jacob Chychrun. It did not matter. The Washington Capitals needed to find a way to win this game, and they did exactly that, scoring twice in the third period to tie it up before Connor McMichael would win it in overtime. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'm just too excited after that win for the Washington Capitals. So let's talk about the regulation first, right? The first 60 minutes of this game. Caps, like I said, are down 2-0 after 40 minutes. Josh Anderson, short-handed goal in the first period, puts the Habs up 1-0. And then Brendan Gallagher in the second period at even strength puts the Habs up 2-0. So things were looking pretty bleak at that point, right? But then we come to the third period. And just because I just want to point out here that the Washington Capitals tying up this game in the third period was not a fluke, okay? They really deserved this comeback. They really worked for it. They really earned it. The Washington Capitals came out in the third period and they outshot the Montreal Canadiens 15-5 in the game's final 20 minutes, or at least the final 20 minutes of regulation. 15-5 were the shots in favor of the Washington Capitals in the third period when they were trailing 2-0. And they made the Montreal Canadiens pay, as 5 minutes and 6 seconds into the third period, Matt Roy gets the puck, and as I am shouting full on at my television screen for somebody to shoot the fucking puck, Matt Roy does exactly that. He throws it on net. Good shot to take there with a ton of bodies in front, and Ethen Frank in front gets the deflection, and the Caps all of a sudden have life. They have cut the Habs lead here to 2-1. So Ethen Frank, 9th goal of the season already for Ethen Frank, assisted by Matt Roy, obviously, on the primary assist, and by Rasmus Sandin as well on the secondary assist. Pay attention to that name there, Rasmus Sandin, as this would not be the last time that you would hear from him in this game. So it is 2-1. And then, with less than 2 minutes left to play in regulation, the Washington Capitals, they pull goaltender Logan Thompson for the extra attacker. They get that extra man onto the ice, and it did not take very long at all after that, as Rasmus Sandin here again with the puck up near the point. He skates down a little bit to get a little bit closer to the net there. He spots Ethen Frank in the high slot. Ethen Frank has got his stick on the ice there, ready for the tip. This is a play that guys work on in practice all the time. He is there, like I said, ready for that high tip in the slot, and Rasmus Sandin spots Ethen Frank there, spots him with the stick on the ice, and he places this puck perfectly there for Ethen Frank to get the deflection, and it sails into the top corner past Samuel Montembeault, and we have got a tie game. So Ethen Frank, second goal of the night by him, and his 10th goal of the season already. And yeah, Rasmus Sandin here on the primary assist, just a gorgeous look there that he gives to Ethen Frank, and Ethen Frank with the perfect deflection, like I said. So Rasmus Sandin on the primary assist, and it was Anthony Beauvillier as well on the secondary assist. And yeah, this goal here ties things up for the Caps 2-2. And that is how the third period would end. And so the Washington Capitals, they come all the way back here in the third period from a multi-goal deficit here with their season on the line, some would say. They had been knocked out of a playoff spot the night prior, as the Washington Capitals were idle. They were not playing the night before. Teams jumped over them and they had been knocked out of their playoff spot. So this was a huge point here. First of all, getting the game into overtime with the comeback in the third period, the furious comeback there in the game's final 20 minutes of regulation. And then obviously eventually getting the second point in overtime as well. Massive 2 points here in comeback fashion by the Washington Capitals has them back in a playoff spot. So we go to overtime, and with less than a minute left to play in an overtime period that saw the Washington Capitals outshoot the Montreal Canadiens 10-1 in the overtime period. The Caps really wanted this win. They really wanted these 2 points, you could tell. And yeah, an overtime period that sees the Caps outshoot the Habs 10-1. Less than a minute left to play here in the overtime period, and it is Connor McMichael picking up the rebound of a Dylan Strome shot. He tucks it past Montembeault. Caps win, baby, 3-2. For Connor McMichael, that is his 7th goal of the season and the first overtime goal of his National Hockey League career for the Caps youngster, the 24-year-old. First OT goal, and it is a big one here for his Washington Capitals. And yeah, 7th goal of the season for Connor McMichael, assisted by Dylan Strome, obviously on the primary assist, taking the initial shot there. Again, get the puck at the net, right? Creates rebounds, creates all kinds of havoc out there on the ice. So yeah, great shot there by Dylan Strome, getting the primary assist, and Rasmus Sandin as well on the secondary assist. That is Rasmus Sandin's 3rd point of this hockey game, in a game in which the Caps scored 3 goals and won 3-2, right? So like I said, remember the name in this one, Rasmus Sandin. It would not be the last time that you would hear from him. And yeah, certainly Rasmus Sandin had a phenomenal hockey game here tonight, doing just a great job stepping up, filling the shoes, those really big shoes of Jakob Chychrun, who you obviously miss so much when he is out of the lineup with all that he brings on the back end for the Washington Capitals, and certainly the offense that you miss when Jakob Chychrun is out of the lineup. So yeah, Rasmus Sandin doing a great job here, stepping up big time to fill those humongous shoes, and he has 3 assists on the night in, like I said, a game where the Caps scored 3 goals. So Caps win 3-2, a humongous victory here for the Washington Capitals. That goes without saying, obviously, but yeah, it really cannot be overstated, I don't think, how massive of a victory this was for the Washington Capitals, given the circumstances, right? Given what they were facing in this game. Like I said, no Tom Wilson still, no Pierre-Luc Dubois still, no Jakob Chychrun still. Justin Sordoff as well. He remains out day to day though, so that is good news. But yeah, he was not available tonight either again. So missing a ton of key players from their lineup. The Washington Capitals, down by 2 goals in the 3rd period, they find a way to get it done and to get the 2 points. And yeah, it was in furious comeback fashion. Like I said, outshooting the Montreal Canadiens 15-5 in the 3rd period in order to get this game tied up, right? You needed 2 goals. They had to come out fast and hard there in the 3rd period, and they did, outshooting the Habs 15-5 in the 3rd period. And then the overtime period as well. Like I said, they were just determined to win this game, to get these 2 points. And yeah, in the overtime period as well, they outshoot the Montreal Canadiens 10-1. So if you are keeping track at home, the Washington Capitals, they outshoot the Habs 25-6 over the game's final 20 minutes plus, right? 24 and a bit, because the overtime period obviously didn't quite come to the end of it there, right? So it was 4 minutes and a little bit of overtime play, 20 minutes in the 3rd period. So 24 minutes plus a bit. The last 24 minutes plus of this game, the Washington Capitals, they outshoot the Montreal Canadiens 25-6 in order to make sure that they would get this victory and get these 2 points. And they outshoot the Montreal Canadiens 43-26 for the game as well. And one last thing that I wanted to mention as well tonight was the penalty kill, because they had a great game, the PK did, and there were a couple of huge instances here that really made a difference in this game. The first one being near the end of the 2nd period, the Montreal Canadiens, they would get a 5-on-3 power play opportunity for over a minute. It was of 5-on-3 time. Again, near the end of the 2nd period, the Habs were already up 2-0. So you really felt like if the Caps didn't kill that one off, that 5-on-3, Montreal was going to be up 3-0, a 3-goal hole going into the 3rd period. It probably would have felt a lot more insurmountable, especially with the guys that you're missing from your lineup, right? So that was an absolutely massive kill. Like I said, 5-on-3 penalty kill to end the 2nd period there and to keep the score 2-0, to give themselves a chance to come back in this game. And then as well, in the 3rd period, when the Caps were still trailing by a goal, they were down 2-1 at this point. A little over 6 minutes left to play it was in regulation. The Caps get tagged with another penalty. So Montreal is on the power play with the chance to stretch that lead from 2-1 to 3-1 and essentially probably put the game away at that point. There was like just over 6 minutes left to play when the penalty occurred. So you would have had like just a little over 4 minutes left to work with, right? To try and overcome a 2-goal hole. Again, that would have felt probably pretty insurmountable at that point, right? So a massive kill there near the end of regulation to keep the score 2-1, right? To keep the Habs from stretching it on the power play to 3-1. Again, keep it 2-1. Give yourselves a chance to come back there at the end of regulation. And that is exactly what they did. That is exactly what the penalty kill and Logan Thompson did. They kill off all of those penalties to be able to keep themselves within reach, right? Within striking distance and able to come back in this game, which they ultimately did. And man, it is a huge 2 points in the standings because of it. All right, babes, that is going to be it for this one. Man, big win today by our Washington Capitals. For the Caps part, their next game will be on Thursday against the San Jose Sharks. They will look to, again, hopefully be able to grab some more points in that one. We will see if anyone is able to return from the injured list for that game. Or Jacob Chikrin, who has been out ill as well. So we will see if they are able to get anybody back, any healthy bodies back for that game. But yeah, San Jose Sharks up next on Thursday. So we will see what happens there. Until then, babes, thank you all so much for being here. As always, I appreciate all of you so much. Really, I'm having an absolute blast here this season, making these videos, for you all, with you all. We're just having an absolute blast chatting Washington Capitals hockey here this season. And we've got, big stretch of regular season games still left, hopefully some playoff games as well for our Washington Capitals. So yeah, we will be here the whole way with you. And yeah, if you have not already done so, please go ahead, click on that subscribe button if you do enjoy the content. We are at 199 now subscribers, so just need one more to get to 200. That'll be exciting for me. So yeah, click on that subscribe button if you have not already done so. And if you do enjoy the content, I appreciate that so much. So babes, as always, thank you all so much for being here, like I said. And until next time, and as always, let's go Caps.